Good morning, viewers at home. Welcome to another edition of Everard Mathematics class. Today we are going to look at how to solve a quadratic equation using factorization method. This has always been a challenge for some of us. So let's look at this. This is the general form of a quadratic equation: ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are constants. That is, their values don't change, they are numbers. Then x squared and x. This x is the variable we are trying to get its value. So how do we now solve it using factorization method? The first thing we do, our a here is 1. We'll compare the equation with the general quadratic form. Our a is 1, our b is minus 13, our c is minus 30. So the first thing we do is to look for AC. What is AC? That is, multiply a by c. 1 times 1 multiplied by minus 30 will give us minus 30. So after getting the AC, we will now look for two factors of this AC that will give us minus 13. That is two numbers. Now when you multiply them together, will give you minus 30. When you add them, you get minus 13. Now, for us to be able to do this easily, we have a table here that will guide us. If you are familiar with this table, then we won't have any problem picking factors for this quadratic equation. The table says when b and c are positive, then the two factors will be positive. When both of them are negative, when b is negative and c is negative, the smaller factor will be positive, the greater factor will be negative. When b is negative and c is positive, the two factors will be negative. That is, smaller factor negative, greater factor negative. And when b is positive and c is negative, the smaller factor is negative, the greater factor is what? Positive. Now let's take this one as example. 1 times minus 30 is minus 30. So these are the factors of 30. 1, 30, 2, 15, 3, 10, 5, 6. We'll pair them this way, that is 1 multiplied by 30 is 30. 2 multiplied by 15 is 30. 3 multiplied by 10 is 30. 5 multiplied by 6 is 30. These are the factors of 30. So now, how do we now know the sign that we are going to attach to each of these numbers? If we follow this table, we will discover that our b is negative and c is negative from this general form of the quadratic equation. B is this, c is this. So b is negative, c is negative. From this table, when b is negative and c is negative, the smaller factor will be positive and the greater factor will be negative. So the smaller ones will be positive and the greater ones will be what? Negative. So if you look at these pairs very well, which of them can give us minus 13? Which of these pairs will give us minus 13? 1 minus 30 is minus 29. 2 minus 15, that is minus 13. So we are going to use plus 2 and minus 15. So what that one means is that we will remove this minus 13x from the equation and replace it with plus 2 and minus 15. It will now become x squared plus 2x minus 15x minus 30 equals 0. If you look at the equation, x squared is still here, minus 30 is still here. This minus 13x is being replaced by these two factors. So we have not changed anything, just that we need to make it 4. When we have 4 terms, we will now pair them in 2's so that we'll be able to factorize. Now, we will pair them, this and this goes together, these other two are together. So x squared and 2x, we discover that x is common to both of them. If you open the bracket, this one will be left with x, then this one will be left with 2. Then you bring down your sign, minus, minus. 15 and 30, what is the highest common factor? It is 15. Don't forget, 3 can divide both 15 and 30. 5 can also divide 15 and 30. but the greatest number that can divide 15 and 30 is 15. So we are going to make use of the highest common factor. So if you take 15 away from here, you'll be left with x. Then, because of this negative sign, this one will turn to positive. 15 in 30, that is 2, equals 0. Then we are now see that this factor here and this other factor are the same. So you pick one of them. Then the other ones outside, you put them in a bracket, equals 0. Now, x plus 2, x minus 15 equals 0. If you multiply two terms and you get 0, it means one of them must be 0. If you multiply two terms and you get 0, that means one of them must be 0. So you now say it's either x plus 2 is 0 or x minus 15 is 0. If x plus 2 is 0, that means x equals minus 2. When this one crosses to this side, it becomes minus 2. Or x equals, this one comes here, it becomes 15. So these are the values of x. X equals minus 2 or x equals 15. I believe we understand. Now let's take a look at another example. 2x squared minus 11x plus 12 equals 0. Here we also multiply our a by c. That is 2 times 12 gives us 24. Then we list out the factors of 24. 1 and 24. 2 and 12. 3 times what? 8. 4 times what? 6. 5 cannot divide 24. After 5, what do we have? 6. Then we write 6 and 4. But we have already written 4 and 6. So there's no need to write 6 and 4. Now, how do we know the sign to attach to each of them? Our b is negative and c is positive. From this table, b is negative, c is positive. The smaller factor will be negative, the greater factor will also be negative. So that means both of them are negative. Now, which of these pairs will give us minus 11? The one we are going to add together that will give us minus 11. If you look at it, that should be minus 3 and minus 8 will give us minus 11. So, like we did in the first example, it will be 2x squared. We will replace this minus 11x by these two factors. Minus 3x minus 8x, then bring down plus 12 equals 0. Now, if you look at 2x squared plus 3 minus 3x, we are beginning to pair them now. This and this are together. The only thing common to them here is x. Open bracket. This one remains 2x. Then here we are left with 3. Now you bring down the sign that you have here, minus. 8 and 12, what is the highest common factor? 2 can divide 8 and 12, yes. But there's another number bigger than 2, that is 4, that will divide 8 and 12. So we are using 4. 4 in 8, 2x. Because of this negative sign, the positive sign will turn to negative. Now 4 in 12, 3 equals 0. Bear it in mind that this factor in the bracket must always be the same as this other one. If they are different, that means something is wrong somewhere. So, having gotten the same factor, you now pick one of them, 2x minus 3. Then the ones outside, x minus 4 equals 0. Also, like we did in the previous example, if the product of two terms give us 0, it means one of them must be 0 or both of them are 0. So that means 2x minus 3 equals 0 or x minus 4 equals 0. 2x minus 3 equals 0 or x minus 4 equals 0. Then, if 2x minus 3 equals 0, it means 2x equals 3. When the 3 crosses to the other side, it becomes positive. Or x minus 4 equals 0 becomes x equals 4. So if you divide both sides by 2 here, or x equals 4, 2 cancels 2, we are left with x equals 3 over 2 or x equals 4. You can express this one as a mixed number. 3 over 2 is 1.5 or x equals 4. So with this, I believe we understand how to factorize any given quadratic equation. In our next lesson, we will look at more examples and word problems on quadratic equation. Thank you.